Hola, and welcome once again to the Schaefer Small Engine Shop and two-car garage. Today, we're going to make a video about this 2000 model Poulan 2150 that my friend Charles brought to me, along with two other saws. This is the last one here, and it has the normal complaint. It won't start. So we're going to work on it, and I'll show you what I did to it. But before we get into the saw, I'd like to regress a little bit. About 2.5 or 3 months ago, college baseball season was about to start. And I made a video, and in that video I said I was extremely optimistic about LSU's baseball team for 2023. A second-year coach that came from a good program. He came to Baton Rouge solely because he thought Baton Rouge would give him the best opportunity to have a championship team and go to Omaha every year. Well, he didn't make it his first year, but they had a good team. Well, this year, things were a little different. They not only had a good team, they had a great team. And they went to Omaha, and they won the national championship last Monday night, beating the snot out of Florida. 7 national championships now. Now, nothing pleases me more than beating the snot out of Florida. That isn't so. I kind of like to beat the snot out of Alabama too, especially in football. But we beat the snot out of Florida, and we are now 7-time national champion. And it's a great season. Go Tigers. Now, let's go back to work. I'm going to bring you in a little closer, and we're going to look at this Poulan chainsaw and see where we are with it. Okay. On the left is the Walbro WT 324 that came off of this saw. Now, this carburetor might work. I don't know that it doesn't. All I knew is it's 20 years old, and for $14 or $15, we're gonna get a brand new carburetor and not fool with this thing. This is a very simple carburetor. It does have a high and low screw on it, which is a big plus, but it's got a very simple manual choke. The throttle's over on this side. It's pretty simple too. So I went to order a replacement, and the only replacement that I could find on the internet was this style carb. And it's different. Now, this is not the carburetor that's on the saw, but it's the same type. This has got a kind of sophisticated auto choke release mechanism, so that when you hit the throttle, it automatically turns the choke off. But the big difference is the old carburetor had got the suction and the discharge nipples both on the same side of the carburetor, both on the right-hand side. Well, this jewel, it's got one down here low and one up here high on the other side of the carb. So after some trial and error, you figure out which one is the suction and which one is the discharge, and then you have to make adjustments. So I'll bring you in and we'll look at the saw, and I'll show you what I had to do to it to try to make it work. This is about as close as I can get, and we'll see. I'll show you what I did. Through trial and error, you figure out this is the intake side, the suction side. And on the old carburetor, this was the discharge side. So I had to pull the gas line out of the gas tank, and it has one of those little nylon or plastic connectors on it that hooks the two hoses together, and it was put into the tank, inside the tank, which I could never have gotten it back in there in a million years. So I popped it through, hooked it up to the new suction line right here, and pulled the line through and hooked up a brand new fuel filter inside the tank on it. So that part of the equation is resolved. You come over here to this side of the carburetor, and this is now the discharge side. And the discharge side becomes the suction line for the bulb. And this has a remote primer bulb in it, which complicates matters because nobody knows how to hook the lines up, and it puts one extra line into the equation. Well, all of these little primer bulbs operate the same way. They suck fuel through the carburetor and discharge the fuel back into the gas tank. So I had to jerry rig a little short piece of line, hook it up to the short nipple on the purge bulb. That's the suction side, and then it discharges and it goes back into the tank. And once I got that done, when you prime it, it's sucking gas right through the carburetor. Now, one other problem area is this little discharge nipple here. It had to be rotated, not quite 45 degrees, but it has to be rotated enough that it clears the throttle linkage. As it comes from the factory, it would not clear the throttle linkage. So now the throttle will open fully, and we got it purged and we got gas in it. The throttle lever hooked up just fine. The choke lever hooked up to this new apparatus just fine. And we're going to see if any of this has been successful. Bear with me and let me back you up a little. Well, I love these chainsaws that come with electric starters. So we're going to put the ignition switch up, which is go. Choke is good, and we're primed, and we're going to give it a spin and see if we can get it to pop off. Now, when you do this, you don't want to use an impact driver because it'll take this nut loose. So you just do it slowly and steadily with the electric starter that's supplied along with the saw. No contact. No contact. No contact. We're on. We'll choke it a little bit, see if that does look good. A lot of times, fooling with these chainsaws, I'll take a zip tie, put it on the handle so it compresses the safety release there and gives the saw more gas than it's ordinarily going to get. We'll see if that does any good. Keep trying. It was popping finally. Guess it had to prime a little bit. That's what you get when you do this stuff under hurry. I think we may be out of gas. But in any case, it runs, and it just shows you that any piece of equipment like this, Poulan steel, Husqvarna, McCulloch, whatever it might be, if you take care of it and you run good oil in it and you run enough oil in it and you keep it clean, these little things, hey, they may run 30 years. This one's got 20, mine's got 24, and it still pops off and runs. And it is my go-to chainsaw because it's light. It's easy to fool with. I've got a bigger Poulan 4218 that I use if I'm getting into something that needs some horsepower. But for the most part, these little small 14, 16-inch chainsaws, they're just perfect. So I hope this video helps somebody. Thanks for watching. Well, as an addendum, I have looked in the gas tank and it's bone dry. So that's why it had a little trouble starting. It takes gas to make these things run. Thanks.